The rain poured heavily that night, washing over the neon lights of the city and blurring reflections in every puddle. Inside a cozy little cafe at the corner of Elm Street, Lena, a struggling artist and waitress, wiped the same table over and over, her hands trembling, her eyes filled with quiet panic. Tomorrow was her best friend's engagement dinner, a lavish, high society event. Everyone there came from wealth, power, and prestige. Everyone, except her. She wasn't invited at first, but her friend insisted she come. The problem was, Lena's ex-boyfriend, who had dumped her because she was too poor, too simple, was going to be there, with his new girlfriend. Her heart twisted every time she thought about walking in alone. She could already hear their laughter, their whispers. Oh, she came by herself, again. But as she glanced out the cafe window, she saw him, a man sitting alone at a corner table, dressed in a sleek black suit, his presence quiet but commanding. His name was Ethan Cole, though she didn't know it yet. To her, he was just another tired customer sipping coffee in silence, his face unreadable, but his eyes, deep, lonely. Something inside Lena stirred. Out of desperation, and perhaps instinct, she walked up to him, her voice barely a whisper. "Excuse me, sir, I know this sounds insane, but could you pretend to be my date for one night?" Ethan looked up, surprised. For a moment, he thought she was joking. But her trembling hands and tear-glossed eyes told him she was serious. She explained everything in a rush, her ex, the humiliation, the dinner. Ethan listened silently. Then, to her shock, he smiled faintly and said, "All right. One night, .. The next evening, Lena stood in front of the grand ballroom, clutching her small purse nervously. Her dress was borrowed, slightly too long, but she looked beautiful in it, simple, pure, radiant in her own way. And then Ethan arrived. Heads turned, conversations stopped. The man who walked in beside her looked like he'd stepped out of a movie, tall, calm, and effortlessly confident. His presence drew attention instantly. Lena's ex nearly choked on his drink when he saw her, with him. Throughout the evening, Ethan stayed by her side, playing his part perfectly. He pulled out her chair, laughed softly at her nervous jokes, even brushed a stray strand of hair from her face, and somehow, it didn't feel fake anymore. But as the night went on, Ethan found himself watching her differently. She wasn't like the women he met in his corporate world, polished, rehearsed, guarded. Lena was real. She talked about her art, her dreams, her struggles, the paintings she couldn't sell, the bills she couldn't pay, but how she still believed life had beauty in it. For the first time in years, Ethan felt alive. When the night ended, Lena thanked him shyly outside the ballroom. "You were amazing. Thank you for helping a stranger." He smiled. "You're welcome, Miss Stranger." They went their separate ways, or so she thought. A week later, Lena's cafe buzzed with whispers. A group of men in suits walked in, asking for her. The manager panicked. He thought it was an inspection. But when Lena came out, she froze. It was him, Ethan. Only this time, he wasn't dressed casually. The cafe went silent as he approached, now clearly a man of power and wealth. "I think I left something behind last time," he said softly. Her heart raced. "What?" He smiled. "The chance to see you again." The cafe staff gasped quietly as he revealed who he was. Ethan Cole, CEO of Cole Industries, one of the most successful companies in the city. Lena's eyes widened in disbelief. You're the Ethan Cole." He nodded, a faint sadness in his eyes. "I didn't want to tell you that night. You looked at me like I was human, not a brand." She laughed nervously, unsure if she should bow, run, or cry. Ethan stepped closer. "Lena, would you let me take you out? This time, for real." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Why me? I'm nobody." He shook his head gently. "You're everything I forgot the world still had: kindness, courage, and heart." Months passed, and what started as a one-night favor blossomed into something deeper. Ethan supported her art, not with money, but with belief. He showed her that her work mattered, that her voice was beautiful. And Lena helped him rediscover the warmth beneath his cold success, the part of him that once believed in love, in simplicity, in people. Their story wasn't about wealth or status. It was about two lonely souls who met by accident, one looking for help, the other looking for meaning, and how, sometimes, pretending for one night can lead to a lifetime of truth. When they finally opened Lena's first art exhibition, Ethan stood beside her, smiling quietly as reporters flashed their cameras. She turned to him, whispering with a smile, "Do you remember how this all started?" He chuckled softly. "Yeah, you asked me to be your date for a night. And you turned it into forever," she finished. Narrator's closing line for your video. Sometimes, the people who enter our lives by accident are the ones meant to stay forever. So be kind, be brave, and never be afraid to ask, because love might just answer when you least expect it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories. Heart.